Welcome everyone to the April League of American Bicyclists Club Leadership webinar. We are talking tonight about Bike Month, which starts just about 4 weeks from tonight. And we have a great panel with us tonight. We have Rob Gusky, who's the Bike Ambassador for Kimberly-Clark Corporation, Amanda White, who's the Associate Director of the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin, Stephanie Franz, the Manager of Commute Programs from Cascade Bicycle Club, and Julie Harris, the Project Manager for Activate Omaha. Now, Bike Month is always a big month for us and as the national sponsors, and for bike groups around the country and bicycling. This year is an especially big and interesting year for Bike Month. There are a couple of reasons, and the first of those is the transportation bill. If you've been following the transportation bill, following the League of American Bicyclists' work on the transportation bill, you are probably aware that the last extension expired at the end of March. It was kind of a good time for us because we had the National Bike Summit. We brought a lot of people to Washington to talk about bicycling. Some of our panelists were there and might talk about it. But it was a great time for us to bring bicycling advocates to Washington to talk to their representatives, because the House was working on trying to get a transportation bill done by the deadline. If you follow the transportation bill, you know that didn't work out, and what happened was at the end of March they passed a 90-day extension, so through the end of June. So we had hoped that this would all be done. It would be resolved in a fairly favorable way for bicycling, and we'd be able to get on with some other things. It hasn't worked out that way, but it does become, in a lot of ways, a better moment for us to influence politics and the transportation bill, because so many more people are bicycling now. When you're talking about the last political season in February and March, when everything was happening, there were a lot of great people out there on bicycles, but not as many people are out there as are out bicycling now. And we have Bike Month coming up right in the middle of this 90-day extension, creating a great opportunity for us to rally people, let them know about the situation, and really bolster our advocacy efforts and our biggest opportunity to reach people throughout the whole year. We are still waiting to see if the House does anything or what they do in April, so we don't know exactly what we'll be asking those that are holding Bike Month events to do, but one thing that will certainly be a part of it, whether or not anything gets passed between now and then, is to try to get your representatives to your Bike Month events, to your Bike to Work Day events, or if they can't make those, take them out for a ride in Bike Month. It's never a bad idea. It's always a good way to build bridges with your congressional representation. But now, with the likelihood that there will be a lot on the line for bicycling during Bike Month, it really becomes imperative to build those bridges if you haven't done so already. And we will be supporting you in setting up those rides and setting up those events. And we may have other asks coordinated with advocacy work we're doing at the national level to impress upon representatives the importance of bicycling to the economy, to public health, and all sorts of other things I really don't need to tell you about. The second really interesting thing that helps with this and really comes together at the right time for this Bike Month is the National Bike Challenge, which we announced at the Bike Summit. I hope you've heard something about it by now. If not, you're going to hear a lot about it tonight. And it provides a great opportunity to carry momentum of Bike Month and Bike to Work Day through 4 months. The National Bike Challenge runs from May through the end of August, and really taking things to a time frame that helps change people's habits and helps them become regular bicyclists. Bike to Work Day is a great time. I always talk to people in D.C. who are riding in for the first time, very excited about the Bike to Work Day. But with the National Bike Challenge and getting people to log their miles and offering them prizes and the opportunity to connect with other riders, you really have an opportunity to change their habits and make them regular bike commuters. So you don't talk to people who say they haven't ridden in since the last Bike to Work Day. So our first panelist tonight is Rob Gusky. He's got the title of Bike Ambassador for Kimberly-Clark Corporation. And Rob, I am going to hand over the screen to you so that you can tell us more about how you have taken the National Bike Challenge from a corporate challenge on to a statewide challenge in Wisconsin, and now moving it nationwide. It's a great story. It's a great challenge. And Rob, welcome. Tell us all about it.
Okay. Yes, good, Scott. Welcome everyone from beautiful Neenah, Wisconsin, where we're having an early spring this year, and we've been able to get a lot of folks out on bikes already. Kimberly-Clark's history with biking, we have had a company-wide bike challenge since 2008. And one great thing about Kimberly-Clark, we're a large company. We have 57,000 employees around the world. You may know our products. We make Kleenex Huggies and lots of other products like that. But the great part is us being a global company. For someone who enjoys biking, you've got people all over the world that share that interest. And that's what really got us started with our bike challenge. A few people here in Neenah, Wisconsin started the challenge. We found out that we had people in the UK, over in South Korea, and it's just grown from that start year after year to where now we had over 800 employees participate last year. And it's just, we had a lot of fun with it. But what we would like to do as a company is help our employees, give them an opportunity to have fun, but also improve their health, feel better at work, have more energy. And because of that, we have been working with this multiple month challenge. And our bike challenge at Kimberly-Clark is actually 5 months. The challenge here, the national challenge, will be 4 months. And let's talk a little bit about what the challenge is. First off, any kind of biking is fine for the challenge. So whether you're biking to work, whether you're doing some errands, whether you're out on the road on the weekends, mountain biking, all types of biking are all qualified for the challenge. What we're looking at here, this is where the challenge is located. This is the home page. It has a relatively easy URL, and it's nationalbikechallenge.org. That will then redirect you to this company that we work with. It's called Endomondo, and they're out of Denmark, where they do a fair amount of biking themselves. And to let you know, our partners in the National Bike Challenge, we're partnering with the League of American Bicyclists, as well as Bikes Belong and Endomondo. The challenge itself, the way that it works is it's basically a tracking system for you. So Endomondo is a standalone company. They have a free app you can download if you have a smartphone or a Garmin, and it's very easy to keep track of your rides that way. What the National Challenge does is it adds an extra layer of excitement to it, and I'll give you a feel for that here. So the National Challenge actually begins May 1st, but we're in the pre-season, and let me show you what's going on here with this. So this is our leaderboard, and it's composed of teams. So you can join a team. You don't have to. You can participate as an individual. But teams are up to 10 people, and there's a team from Arlington, Virginia that's doing quite well in the preseason. There's the Madison Sewer Workers are actually doing pretty good here as well, and so on and so forth. These are people all over the country. You can go into the teams and learn more about them, where they're from, get some statistics. Also, it's on an individual basis. So you're competing against others, and you can just see where you are. It's pretty motivating to see where you are and see if you can move up a couple places if you enjoy that type of thing. In addition to that, it's also for workplaces. So you've got various companies in here. You can actually go in here and sort by the size of the company. So if you're a small business, say with 20 employees, you can see who is in there with you. Additionally, it's for colleges and universities. And then we have a special category for bike shops and dealers, so they can go after it. Another fun part of this is the communities section. So when you sign up, one of the pieces of information you enter is your zip code, and based on that, then we're able to look at almost 1,000 metropolitan statistical areas around the country, and we can see where everybody's at. The points here are on a per capita basis, so that's how it ranks everyone. Finally, we can also look at things on a statewide basis, and you can see how various states are competing against each other. Let's talk about the points themselves. And what we are trying to do with this challenge is encourage people to make biking a daily habit. And that's the reason what we found is rather than just have a specific week or even a month, by having a multiple month contest, we've really motivated people to change their behaviors and become, some of them are just regular cyclists, or at least add biking to be more of their life. So the points that they work is each day that you ride, you get 20 points for that day, and then additionally, each mile gives you an additional 1 point. So that's the points. It's pretty basic how that works. Let me see if there's any questions so far, and if not, I'm going to get into a couple of other things here.
I don't see any hands up or have any questions typed in just yet, Rob, so why don't you keep going?
Okay. The other parts here, I do want to show you there's a toolkit. Okay, there's a toolkit. It has a lot of information in it for you. Posters. It has a sample email if you want to send this to different employees in your company. There's videos. I would encourage you to go there. The videos explain how first of all, overall about the challenge, and then how the challenge works, how you log miles, and so forth. The challenge is free. There's no cost for yourself, for a company, for a club to participate, and there are some pretty nice prizes with that. So there'll be a monthly prize drawing, and I'm going to show you there's some different prize levels as well. I'll show you how you achieve that. So let's, and if you do have a smartphone or a Garmin, you can download the free app here as well. What I'm going to do is show you how easy it is to join the challenge. Basically, again, if you go to the nationalbikechallenge.org and click on Join, and if you don't have an Endomondo account, you just click here, and you just need to put in your email, password, your name, your zip code that you live, the name of the company, or if you're at a college or university, and then these are just some check marks to receive information and that you accept the terms, and you're in there. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I'll show you a couple of things happen here. That make it pretty interesting. Okay. So this is my regular Endomondo page, but I'll be going to the National Bike Challenge here. So first off, we've got, it's on the order of 35 advocacy groups around the country that are participating in the challenge. One of those is the Wisconsin Bike Federation. Because I'm a resident of Wisconsin, and the program knows based on my zip code that I live in Wisconsin, it automatically comes up with my local challenge, which is the Wisconsin Bike Challenge. And this gives me a more local view. So when I look at the leaderboard, what I'm going to get here are the riders, teams, workplaces, and communities within Wisconsin. Also, since it knows that it's me, it takes me automatically where I am. So if I'm in 19th place or 900th place or wherever, it automatically goes there. So that makes it pretty easy. The other thing I want to show you here is that you're able to toggle to the national challenge by just clicking here, and this will take you to the national challenge. One thing you'll notice over here, this is how many points I have, and these are medals that you receive. So the bronze is at 50, silver is at 150, gold is at 500, and I'm working on getting the platinum medal here at 1,500 points. What the points and what the medals really signify are different levels of prizes. So for example, gold level prizes are things like bikes. The bronze level are more like water bottles, t-shirts, that type of thing. Platinum, there's some pretty nice trips. One is a trip to California wine country. Another is a mountain biking trip in Utah along one of the canyons there. Let me see if there's anything else. There are some other interesting things here. You get comments from different people. So that's kind of fun to see what's going on there. And then from time to time, you may get news from either your local or the national challenge. Scott, for now, that gives us a pretty good overview of the site, and we can get into more details and questions if anybody has those as we go along.
Sure. I just wanted to clarify in terms of how the prizes work, and then I have at least one question lined up. So if I'm not mistaken, there's a drawing every month, right?
Yes, there's a drawing every month, correct?
Rob, at this point, so I mean, one thing I think Rob didn't mention is that this is just sort of a warm-up period. Everybody's points and all the employers and everything will be reset May 1st at the beginning of the challenge. But if we're this May, Rob would be eligible for prizes in the gold level pool, and if he didn't win any of those, he'd be eligible for the silver level pool and eligible for the bronze level pool if he didn't win any silver level prizes in May, as well as June, July, and then August. There'll be drawings every month at each of those levels. And so with the getting 20 points, oh, awesome. There's the prize list. With the getting 20 points for every day that you get out and ride, all you have to do is get out and ride 3 days, and you're eligible for prizes. And then there are other sort of graduated levels there. You get up to silver, you get up to gold, in order to become eligible for additional prizes. I signed up, as it turned out, the first time I logged miles was the very beginning of March. And I hit gold level right at the end of March by riding about 3 times a week. About 7 miles each way on a commute, which is certainly not I guess a beginning level commute. You're not going to get that level of commitment from somebody who's new to it. But you know, one thing that I have been really impressed with in working with Rob and working with the developers at the Endomondo is just Endomondo's understanding of how you motivate people and continue to have them ride and earn more points. And having 10-person teams is because they found that once that people on their system outside of the National Bike Challenge, I mean, this is a system that's up and running, tracking miles for exercise, different sorts of exercise all the time. Once you're connected with 10 people and those people are talking to you and giving you feedback on your exercise, and you see them riding and you want to ride more, it's what really takes you over the top and helps you reach a new level and changes your habits in regards to exercise and in regards to bicycling, which is what we're hoping to do through Bike Month and Bike to Work Day, and really the work that we do every day. Anything you would add to that? Rob, or you think that I made sense of it?
Yeah, I think so, Scott. I mean, really what it's all about, and what we found at Kimberly-Clark, and it's really pretty amazing, is once people see a couple of people out there on their bikes, they get curious. Maybe they've been thinking about it for a while, and they say, hey, if Rob can do it, certainly I can get out there and start biking. And that's what we've seen. And there are all kinds of people now that bike that had never even thought about it. So and we've set this challenge up, as Scott said, to really motivate people. It's very easy to get started and to get that first bronze medal. It gets a little tougher as you go through it, but it's really designed to get people that haven't biked since they were kids and give them an opportunity to participate.
Well, we've got a question here. Somebody lit on something that's a bit of a missing piece here that I've talked to Rob a little bit about, but hope to get sorted out with him and with Endomondo soon. Someone, Alessandra Wilson, asks, we are a bike club with hundreds of members. When we join, do I sign the club up or each member individually? Well, the answer to that question is each person will have to join individually. But since there's workplace level and then there's a up to 10-person team level, then there's not really a place for these large bike clubs. And what I'm going to talk to Endomondo about, and I've talked a little bit to Rob about, is adding a level of club challenge onto this. There are already prizes that will go to businesses and bike shops, for instance, that get the most participation and the most points. But I'm also working to come up with some level of a club challenge as well, because we don't want to have the clubs feel left out of this. We'd love to get the clubs riding and tracking their miles and working on edging each other out, and I think that would have to be on a per capita basis as well. But there'll be more about that soon. I have not forgotten about the clubs. So let's see, a couple of questions, clarifications here. Someone is getting a new website and want to add this link on May 1st. Is it straightforward for the graphic designer to set up? Yeah, we'll have logos and things available, and you just make the link to the site. I would encourage people to put it on their site and begin promoting it sooner so that people can begin riding. They can start riding in the warm-up period and then be all the way go and functional in the system come May 1st. One thing I don't think you mentioned, Rob, that I did want to mention is that there is both a free app and a low-cost paid app with slightly different functionality that you can put on your phone that work with your GPS to actually track your miles. You turn it on when you start riding, you turn it off when you stop riding, and it automatically logs your miles to the National Challenge if you're signed up in the National Challenge. And I found that to be a super easy way to get my miles in and to know the mileage of my various routes. You saw in there where you can put in the one-way mileage of your commute. There's an advanced feature you can go in and put in different commutes. So I have the distance for when I go to work via my daughter's school when we ride together to school, and then a different mileage for when I ride directly from work to home. Someone asks, any miles that a person rides each day counts towards the total, not just transportation miles, and that is correct. You get points for all your miles, regardless of why you're riding them, right?
That's correct, and what I'm showing here on the screen now, if you don't have a smartphone or Garmin, you can still, we've made it very easy for people to come to the site that you can put your ride here very easily. And I'll show you, for example, what you would do is just you can put in whether it was a transport, so a ride that you would have used a car but instead used your bike, or whether it's sport or whether it's mountain biking, and you can just easily put those in and log those. So all forms of biking are perfectly fine for this challenge.
Okay, I think we're going to start moving into the rest of the program, and we can come back as we have questions. But we have 3 more panelists here who are experienced in running both Bike Month and Bike to Work Day events and commuter challenges. And first we're going to bring Amanda White, the Associate Director of the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin, in to talk a little bit more about their work, because last year what is now the national challenge was the Wisconsin Bike Challenge. So they've got experience running exactly this program. Amanda, what was that like, and how did it add to your outreach and your Bike Month events last year?
Yeah, sure. Well, we had a fantastic partnership with Rob and Kimberly Clark. Rob approached us at the beginning of 2011, talked about the challenge they had done and how we'd like to take it statewide. And so we worked with Endomondo, and we created a Wisconsin Bike Challenge page for Endomondo. And that challenge actually ran from the start of Bike to Work Week on like May 16th through the end of September. So it was about a month longer for our challenge last year. But we used the Endomondo tool. We actually worked with Rob and Endomondo to make really big changes to the challenge site for 2012 based on our experience from 2011. So we were guinea pigs and seen a lot of really positive changes based on our experience. We were able to get 4,500 people from across Wisconsin to participate, and throughout the challenge they logged a total of 1.2 million miles, and we were just, our stretch goal was 1 million miles, and we fairly easily surpassed that. So I'm really excited to see what we're going to do this year as a national challenge. But the other thing that was really helpful for us was what that 1.2 miles means for Wisconsin. And what that meant was, it was the system calculated for us the calories burned. So it was 41 million calories burned. It was 625,000 pounds of CO2 saved, $300,000 in gas costs saved, and over 50% of all the trips made during the challenge were transportation-related trips. And what we were able to do with this information is really help support our story about why bicycling is important in Wisconsin. We have our annual state bike summit, and you know, some of our state representatives say, well, you know, bicycling is great for recreation, and yeah, we know Wisconsinites like to bike, but you know, we don't have the budget to fund bike paths and other things because it's not really part of the transportation system, or you know, it's just it's not a mass enough of people wanting to use it. And so we can take this real data and turn it into a very strong message and very strong story of why it's important to fund and invest in bicycling in Wisconsin. And the fact that we showed that 1.2 million miles, you know, those 50% of those trips were transportation, that's a really important message. So we used this during our 2012 Bike Summit in February, and the information was very powerful. So I'm very excited to see next year at the 2013 National Bike Summit how we can use the fantastic data that we're going to gather on a national level this summer. And what we really need is for everyone on the call to get involved, to encourage your club members to get involved and join on to the challenge, because it really does make a difference. The other thing that we've seen is we've seen people trying bicycling for the first time because of the challenge, because of the buzz of the challenge. And it's allowed us to reach beyond our base. So we have about 3,500 members across the state of Wisconsin, but as I mentioned, it's 4,500 people who participated. And so what this means is we were able to really get into businesses and large organizations and reach out to people who weren't necessarily our part of our audience, part of our bicycling community yet, but maybe had interest in trying to bike to work for the first time. And so a program like the Challenge, we heard story after story about people who tried bicycling to work for the first time because of the Challenge and because they had kind of a support network at work through the teams and through others participating in the Challenge. The last thing that I wanted to say about the Challenge is some of the benefits beyond the bicycling community, some of the benefits of participating in the Challenge that might help in any efforts that you can make in your communities and getting others on board. For businesses, we've seen that businesses absolutely love the Challenge. I have to say we have some of Wisconsin's largest companies, Harley-Davidson, well, Kimberly-Clark is a great example, Northwestern Mutual, Johnson Controls, definitely some of the state's very largest employers who are easily signed up. Just we're happy to sign up because one is businesses are always looking for easy, kind of out-of-the-box programs to support their wellness programs. And this Challenge is a great package because it's free. They don't have to invest in it. It's also just everything's taken care of for them. It's very little work, very no hassle on their part. So it's very easy to implement. It also supports, of course, employee health and morale by getting more people to bike at work. They arrive at work healthier, happier, in a better mindset. We've also heard from employers who participated last year that it definitely helped build their community and culture within their organization. So there's a lot of benefits to businesses. And then I think there's a lot of benefits to bike clubs as well. This is a super, super easy program to promote. All you have to do is email a link to all your members and encourage them to get involved. So it's something that you're providing to your members. You can provide it as a member benefit. And the beauty of it is you get that data both on the local level in your home area all the way up to the national level. So it's a really cool program for club members to be a part of. It's also a great way to track miles and trips, especially for those recreational riders that are really interested in bragging rights. It's a great way to do that. And it provides a social media tool to help support those bragging rights. So I hope that lots of clubs can get involved. And then finally, we really are beginning to tie our bike challenge with our Bike to Work Week efforts. So we've done Bike to Work Week for a number of years in Madison and Milwaukee and in different communities across the state are very active in Bike to Work Week. And we are trying to continue to build upon our Bike to Work Week program, but make it a part of the challenge. So while the challenge runs from May 1st all the way through August 31st, we are using Bike to Work Week in May, since it's fairly soon in the challenge, to A, really heavily promote the challenge, and B, really encourage challenge participants to get out there and rack up a lot of miles during Bike to Work Week. So the two programs really have a lot of synergy and complement each other really well, and I think can really be kind of merged into one overall strong biking program as a big part of Bike Month.
Amanda,
so that's all I had to share.
Great. I was just going to ask, beyond the the challenge, do you have maybe top 3 tips or, for promoting Bike Month and Bike to Work Day? Things that you're doing outside the challenge, additional tips for people?
Yeah, sure. Well, for our Bike to Work Week, one of the big tips I have is to use the challenge and use Bike to Work Week to market each other, like I just mentioned. Another tip is during Bike to Work Week, we have morning commuter stations, which I think a lot of communities do. And if we do them ourselves, they're very staff intensive, having staff and volunteers at each of the stations every day, plus coordinating all the free food and coffee and all of that. It's a lot of work. So what we've done is we've really looked to mostly community businesses, some nonprofits, to sponsor our morning commuter stations. And part of that sponsorship is they have the opportunity to have their business information, to have business representatives staff the commuter station. So it's great promotion for them. They're responsible for getting the food, the drinks, and having people there to set it up and to staff it. But then we have a big bike fed tent. We have biking information, maps and things. And we prep them on what we need them to be communicating about Bike to Work Week and about bicycling. And that has been a really great way for us to work, I would say, smarter and not harder, and kind of share the biking love across the community, get businesses involved, and really take on a lot of that work for us. So that's another tip I would have, is really engage different businesses and organizations in the effort to save time for the overall organization.
Great. I am now going to hand control of the screen over to Stephanie Franz out in Seattle with the Cascade Bicycle Club, another veteran of both commuter challenges, their own challenge out there, and Bike Month and Bike to Work Day. Stephanie, I'm so glad to have you with us.
Great, thanks. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. So thanks so much for everyone for coming tonight. I wanted to share a little bit about Cascade Bicycle Club's Bike Month, and for us out here, we've actually grown the Bike to Work Day and Bike to Work Week into an entire month of interrelated programs and activities and events. So, but I actually wanted to start out with sort of our key strategies that kind of infuse the entire month and have helped make it successful. Because these can be applied to any organization and any program. First is to build a deep and strong team, and I'll go over these and then talk about each of them individually. To use a diverse approach to reach diverse audiences. Diversity is something we're all striving for in cycling. To employ existing social networks, and that both touches on individual relationships as well as our relationships with the business community. And then leverage the great deal of contact that we have throughout Bike Month to build the bicycling movement. So those are kind of our key strategies, and I'll talk about how we've used those, and they've made Bike Month successful as well as hopefully bicycling. First of all, actually, about building a deep and strong team, I just want to say a few words about Cascade Bicycle Club. We were formed in 1970 by a handful of cycling advocates, and a little over 40 years later, we're up to 25 full-time staff. We've got some seasonal contractors in several different departments. I happen to be in the Policy, Planning, and Government Affairs department, and so that allows this programming to also support our work in terms of building infrastructure and strong leadership. We have about 14,000 members and about 50,000 constituents. I know that a lot of the audience tonight are smaller cycling organizations, but we started there, and a lot of the lessons that we've learned could be applied. They're very scalable regardless of how big you are and what you're wanting to do. And I think what's wonderful about working with the LAB and the National Bike Challenge is that presents an opportunity for any organization of any size to take some of these lessons and have a really robust platform to work with. We also have a lot of partner organizations. So that's kind of the deep and strong team element. Also, in terms of the diverse approach to reach diverse audiences, that's really where Bike Month shines. So this slide outlines kind of the variety of things that we do throughout Bike Month. And I'll talk about a couple of these just to highlight how they've been successful. First is our Bike to Work Breakfast. That's a fundraiser event at the beginning of the month. We have a commute challenge, which is similar to, but separate from the National Commute Challenge. It's sponsored by Group Health, which is a local healthcare cooperative. We do a month-long of Bike to School programming. We participate in National Bike to Work Day. We do have a corporate sponsor to support that, so we brand it as F5 Bike to Work Day. And then we have a variety of community events, including free commuting classes, a neighborhood street party. We're doing Energizer stations this year all around town where we pump up tires and feed people and lube their chains. And then we're also including a variety of rides to get, reach different audiences, focusing on families and women and fun, things like that. So that's the very diverse approach that we brought to Bike Month to help reach more audiences. So Bike to Work Day is by far the largest touch point that we have throughout the year with cyclists and would-be cyclists. Like many organizations and many areas, we have commuter stations all around the city. So this is a map of the commuter stations that we have. And we have both commuter stations that have kind of a corporate sponsor or a station host. There's bike shops at all of them. But we also have been really encouraging community-driven sort of do-it-yourself stations, again, to bring cycling to more people, to bring more people into the programming and build some excitement and more community connections. Those have become much more popular in the last couple of years, and we're really excited about that. And then one of the things that we do on Bike to Work Day is we also try and use it as an opportunity to engage with the media and our elected officials. So the image in the upper right-hand corner is Mayor Mike McGinn, who's the mayor of Seattle, and is also almost a daily bike commuter. So some of the successes of Bike to Work Day here in our area is that just sheer numbers. In the greater Puget Sound region, which is greater Seattle area, it's not scientifically calculated, but we know we have over about 20,000 people out riding that day. And this image in the upper right-hand corner is one of the more common commute locations in Seattle. But the volume of cyclists actually spills out into one of the two southbound travel lanes on that street. So there's a bike lane, but the volume of cyclists actually takes up the bike lane plus one of the travel lanes. There's so many people on the roads that day. That, of course, creates a great deal of media exposure. And so there's a lot of media, and we work really hard to make sure that it's positive media. And then it's also, like I said earlier, just a great opportunity for community engagement. We keep it positive by keeping it festive. We provide a lot of support with those commuter stations. We encourage individuals to reach out and be supportive, inviting friends, coworkers, family members to ride with them that day. And we know a lot of the people who are out that day are riding for maybe the only time that year, and many, many of them for the first time ever. So again, we are encouraging more and more community participation. And then I think another thing is that these past successes just continue to make it more and more successful in the future. We have a great deal of corporate sponsorship for this day and for this program because we get a lot of media exposure and we get a lot of people out that day. So we just work really hard to build on those past successes. Another important element of Bike to Work Day is our Group Health Commute Challenge. One of the challenges of this month is the opportunity to get people on the bike for the first time, maybe the only time, but the other challenge is then how do you keep them riding? How do you help them build this habit and just make this part of the fabric of their life? So we've found that programs, commute challenge programs like our Group Health Commute Challenge or like the National Bike Commute Challenge really gives people an incentive and the support and the encouragement to make cycling a regular habit. So I actually want to show you our web platform. This is our website that we use. It's a simple trip calendar, and it allows you to log trips and watch your progress over time. So it's very simple. We also have a link to our blog, so there's a live blog feed. And then this year we've added some social media integration, so hopefully people will say positive things about their commute. And again, this allows people to employ their social network using their friends and Facebook and social media. So back to this slide. We've seen wonderful growth in the Commute Challenge over the past several years. So we've quadrupled participation, and we're anticipating over 12,000 people, individuals participating in 2012. So it's really grown over time. Let me put this back. Uh-oh. Okay, so some of the successes of the Commute Challenge, we get high levels of engagement both from individuals and the business community. One of the ways that we do that is we actually we do a lot of our communications and promotions through employers. We have some major employers, Boeing, Microsoft, REI, Amazon. Also the University of Washington is a major employer. But the employers that participate are really engaged in this because they have seen that by promoting the Commute Challenge throughout the month of May, they see a significant short-term uptick in their bicycling rates among their employees. But what's more important is the employers who really put some effort into it see a significant long-term increase in bicycling, and then many of them can attribute that back to the Commute Challenge. So we know it gets people on the bike, we know it, and we know they stay on the bike. Annually, we get about 20% of our participants are brand new bike commuters. So that means in 2011, we had a couple thousand brand new bike commuters on the road through the Commute Challenge. That's absolutely excellent, very exciting. And then we also know that not only do people increase their use of bicycling for transportation and commute trips, but we also have learned that they increase their use of bicycling throughout the month for other purposes. So they're going to the grocery store more often, they're doing recreational trips more often, they're exercising more often by bike. So it has really great results in terms of transforming commute trips, but it also has great results in increasing bicycling in general and building bicycling. And so that's a really important success. The other notable thing about the Commute Challenge is that the participation is about 30% female of our participants, and that's actually significantly higher than the average rate of women who are represented in bicycling. So one of the things that we speculate is that because women are very socially connected, the fact that the Commute Challenge uses social networks and uses teams and workplace support, that camaraderie is very encouraging to women. So that's actually one of the secrets to the success of this program is we use camaraderie. Because it's a challenge, there's also some competition. And so it doesn't matter what appeals to people, there's something for everybody in a challenge. If they're really into the smack talk and the competition and issuing challenges, there's something for them. If they're really into the encouragement and the support, there's definitely something for them too. The team approach is a really important part of the Commute Challenge as well. Again, one person identifies themselves as a team captain, and they go out and recruit 4 to 10 coworkers to participate. So, and again, we know that about 20% of those people are brand new commuters. So
Stephanie, I kind of lost you there.
all we have to do
You're coming and going.
Is
Stephanie?
And one other thing about Bike Month that I wanted to highlight is our Bike to Work breakfast. And the strategy that this kind of highlights is how we leverage our contact throughout Bike Month to build the bicycling movement. So the Bike to Work breakfast is important for several things. First of all, it's our annual fundraising event for our Education Foundation. Our goal for 2012 is to have over 600 attendees and try and raise over $70,000. So this is a significant fundraiser for us. But also, the audience consists of business leaders. A lot of the large companies are represented, bringing their senior leadership as well as their bike commuters. Individuals who are committed cyclists that want to support our work, local agencies, but also elected officials. And so it's notable that this year our keynote speaker is Congressman Earl Blumenauer. And this really helps show how Bike Month is an opportunity, but there's some long-term opportunities too in terms of improving policy, planning, and even electing great leaders. So the last thing I wanted to highlight in terms of building that contact, building the movement through leveraging that contact, is how this interfaces back within the organization. Again, this program is housed in our policy, planning, and government affairs team. And so it's an opportunity for us to grow our constituency, not only in terms of numbers, but in terms of their engagement. And one of the ways that is very timely for 2012 is Seattle is going to be updating our bicycle master plan in 2012, starting public outreach in June or July. So we're going to use Bike Month and the large number of people who participate and the communications and the programming opportunities of Bike Month to build some community engagement and inform the update of this bike master plan so that we can help build the next generation of infrastructure that will get even more people on bicycles, and build the kind of infrastructure that will get tens of thousands of more people willing to bicycle. So that's another way that Bike Month in itself is a wonderful thing, and we get lots of participation, but it also plays back into our organizational mission of building better communities through bicycling, and it also gets back to the mission that we all share, which is getting more people on bikes. So with that, that's an overview, and I'd be happy to take any questions at this time, or I can wait till the end.
Great. I have a couple of hands up whom I'm going to call on shortly. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Another thing that I thought of, another important thing sort of playing into this bike month and the commuter challenge, the whole summer of riding, are gas prices. A lot of attention being paid to higher gas prices, and that creates a media opportunity and a real motivation for people who want to get on their bikes. It really does become a financial incentive. I have Michael Heil or Hale with a hand up and with a question. Michael, are you there? Michael? See your hand up? Can you speak? I know that one question that Michael put his hand down. Oh, it's back up. Michael did have a question that he had typed in, harking back to Amanda talking about the company sponsorships for the commuter stations, the breakfast stations, and Michael wanted to know what companies are putting into that. What are they paying to the Bike Fed, and what are they investing in terms of food and drink? Do you have any sense of what companies are investing to do those stations? And if you do anything like that, Stephanie, I'd be interested to hear. But Amanda first.
Sure. We have sponsors on two levels for Bike to Work Week. We have cash sponsors who all they give is a cash donation, and those range from like $500 level to a $5,000 level. And we've integrated the Bike Challenge and Bike to Work Week so that if you sponsor one, you sponsor the other one. So it's like bigger bang for your buck. In terms of the commuter stations that I talked about and having businesses sponsor the commuter stations, we don't ask them for a cash sponsorship for that. We send them a form that says that basically it's like an agreement almost, that they say, yes, I'll provide at least 2 staff to be at the station to set up, pick up any coffee, food that we've gotten donated, and then take down, so that basically Bike Fed staff never have to be there unless we just want to be there talking to people. And then they also provide coffee, and usually what the businesses do is they just ask it, they either pay for it themselves or they get it donated from one of the local coffee shops. And then we say some kind of treat, granola bar, donut, bagel, for at least 150 people. And again, the business either pays for it themselves or gets it donated from somewhere. The types of businesses that are participating in the stations are, we have one coffee co-op, Just Coffee, that sponsors one station the whole week, and they are very connected in one of our neighborhoods, and so they get tons of baked goods, and they of course use their own coffee, but they get all that donated. They manage the station. We don't have to worry about a thing. We also have Planet Bike, who you guys might be familiar with. They're located, they do bike accessories. They're located here in Madison, and so they sponsor a station, and they actually provide, it's a very special station that we do. They provide bacon. They actually do bacon on the bike path in the morning, and you can smell the bacon like a half a mile down the bike path. It's hugely popular. That's a big one. But then we also have B-Cycle, our bike sharing group, that our bike sharing business that sponsors a station for a few days. We have a couple local grocery stores that sponsor. We have a couple bike shops who offer free mechanics during the commuter stations. We have our cab company co-op that sponsors the station. They're going to have their hybrid cab there on display. So it's a real range of businesses that have an interest in reaching out to bicyclists. And that's what you're looking for, are those businesses that have a real interest in reaching out to the bikers who are going by on the bike path.
Thank you very much. And Michael says thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie?
And our approach in Seattle is very similar for the Bike to Work Day stations. The corporate sponsorships are a little bit higher in terms of the investment that we ask of them. I think another thing to highlight is that we have several agency sponsors. King County Metro Community Transit, it's the transit organization for Snohomish County, which is just north of Seattle, and then City of Seattle. And their sponsorship, especially during these tough economic times, is generally a combination of a little bit of cash, but also just in-kind support by helping us reach out to employers. One of the transit agencies is putting our posters on all of the buses for the month. So that's an important part of their sponsorship role, is helping us build a relationship and giving us some more bandwidth.
Awesome, thank you. I'm sure we'll have some more questions to involve both of you later. We know of Seattle and Madison as biking meccas, biking paradises, but we recognize that across the country maybe things aren't always that easy. There might be places where you have to go and do these programs that aren't associated with being these bike paradises. And I know that there's a lot of great advocacy going on in Omaha, but people don't think of it as one of the biking capitals, although perhaps it's on its way. We have Julie Harris from Activate Omaha. She's the project manager, been waiting patiently to tell us about their Bike Month and Bike to Work Day, and to correct me if I'm wrong about the bicycling paradise of Omaha. Julie, are you there? I'm giving you control of the screen so you can show your slides and talk about how you make it work in Omaha.
Great. I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this going. Thank you. Well, of course Omaha is a bicycle paradise. I don't know why anyone would think otherwise. I am Julie Harris, as he mentioned. I want to give a shout out to my friend Mike Heil, who just had a question out there in Cyberland. We are up and coming in Omaha. We have a lot of momentum right now, thanks in large part to the Commuter Challenge that we have been running since 2007. And I have to say, after listening to our previous presenters, good news and bad news. The good news is that they've covered, all of the things that I would say. I guess the bad news is that they've covered it. The good news is that our experience here in Omaha has been very, very similar. So I guess the lesson to that is that, once you get this going, it seems to me that the experiences we've all had across the country have been very similar. So hopefully everyone can share in that success now with the National Challenge. And hopefully I can get my screen here to...
I left something out of your introduction here. Someone pointed out that you're a bicycle goddess. Michael actually. Michael actually is the one that typed that, but I left that out of the introduction, and I apologize.
Oh, Michael, he's funny. Okay, so as I mentioned, we started, I guess, back in 2006, and our challenge started very small and it was practically with an abacus. It was horrible, where we had a few teams that sent in an email. Each person sent an email every week with the number of trips and the number of miles that they rode. And we had an intern that keyed this into a spreadsheet that was equal to the BCS bowl standings in complexity and disdain. And thankfully, we have moved on from there. On this slide, it's just a small graph to show you just sort of our growth in terms of the number of teams over the years. We have had steady growth over the years. 2008, as you might recall, was the first summer of $4 a gallon gas, and we had a big jump that year. Down a little bit in 2009 in all of our statistics, but then growing quite a bit after that. Our challenge for the first several years ran May 1st, or the middle of May, about May 15th, through the middle of August. And we've had a lot of riders telling us that fall is some of the best riding weather of the year here in the Midwest. And so starting in 2011, we expanded our challenge to be May 1st through September 30th. So you'll see a little bit of skewed statistics for the 2011 season here, but an interesting piece of data that's coming up that we'll be interesting to look at. The thing that we found the most gratifying about last year was that we jumped from 62 teams to 104 teams. We didn't really do anything different other than we just attribute that to just the momentum that we have found growing with cycling in Omaha in general and nationally, I believe. So we anticipate even more growth this year. Here's some very basic charts that just shows the number of trips and the number of miles. That's basically how we've always tracked it. Anytime you get on your bike, it counts as a trip, and our challenge was 10 points per trip and 1 point per mile. So it was set up almost identically to the way the national challenge has been set up. So we were very pleased about that the people who have been participating since 2006, BCS full years notwithstanding, will be very familiar with the way it's scored and understanding that we really are skewing the statistics to encourage people just to get on their bikes to try it. We know that there's going to be a crowd of people that are going to commute by bike no matter what we do, and we love them and encourage them, but anything we can do to encourage those first-timers or those folks that are interested but nervous or whatever that statistic is that we're hearing more frequently, anything we can do to help them, the more better off we're going to be. And again, you can see in 2011 we had a big spike in our numbers. When we went back, though, at 2011 and took a snapshot of the statistics at the time that we would have, so we could compare apples to apples to the previous years, we just took a snapshot there after the 11-week period or whatever it was. And we expected, you know, with all these new teams to have way more trips and way more miles accounted for compared to 2010. And when we calculated the mileage, we were just shocked. We were like, wait a minute, the mileage went down? How can that be? And then we calculated the trips, and we realized that the number of trips went up fairly significantly between 2010 and 2011. The number of miles went down, but the trips went up. And we felt like that was a winning moment for us, because that told us that we were getting more people on bikes for shorter trips and trying it out for shorter periods of time, and that's how we know people get started with transportation for utility, to work, to the grocery store, whatever it is. So we were very excited about that little statistic in our little nerdy way, and I have to give a shout out here to our super intern, Madison. I don't know if any of the rest of you, after coming home from the Bike Summit, have been driving your Generation Y staffers and interns mad with all the Generation Y info we received, but we have to give her the hashtag and the Generation Y shout out today. As the others have mentioned, the data that's collected in these challenges is worth its weight in gold, or in steel frame Schwinns, as I've put here. Again, this is another direct correlation to what the national challenge is going to be computing for us in real time. Offutt Air Force Base here in Omaha is our biggest team for biking to work, and in fact the base is right off of one of our major trails, and they account for usually about 30% of our total miles and trips every year. And because of that, we have a lot of great advocates down there and folks that can compute data every way but Friday, and we had a guy put this very crude spreadsheet together that we've used every year that will look much nicer and much fancier in the National Challenge, where all we have to do every year is plug in the number of miles that we ride per challenge season, and it will spit out all this great data about the environmental things that we have saved in our challenge. And this is where you know, where the media can really take a hold of the story. When you can show the media, when you can show your traffic engineer, when you can show your city council person this kind of data, it really does open their eyes. You know, not only just the environmental part of it, but if you look at the bottom, just the cost savings. So for last year, our 247,000 miles and change ridden, you know, hard to believe it was only $2.35 a gallon last year average in the summer. You know, $27,000. Pretty significant for our small challenge that only, by the way, counts trips to work. We previously only counted riding to and from work and any errand mileage that you have during the day. We have not counted recreational or you know, bike training or any of those types of trips before. So that's something that we'll be adjusting to in this new challenge. Activate Omaha is actually a subcomponent of Live Well Omaha, which really is focused on the health of our city, trying to make our city a healthier place to be. And so anything that we do in terms of promoting active transportation, we always want to make sure that we're making the health case. And I think somebody had already mentioned about the calories burned and tracked. This was another statistic that the Offutt guys put together for us. And we always chuckle every year at the 3,500 calories per pound that theoretically we all should have as a group lost 3,800 pounds over the summer. I don't know how much bacon and donuts and all of the beer and good other things that we may have offset that with, but nonetheless, theoretically we all lost over a ton literally of weight. So making the health case is also very important for us here in Omaha. We do lots of things to promote the bike challenge here. When we first started out, we have a group here that is the Wellness Council of the Midlands that actually shares office space with us, that really champions wellness in work sites and had a great, already a great list of workplaces that were really looking at wellness and doing great things there. So that's really how we first tapped in to try to get people involved. The Trek store here in Omaha was our first local bike shop to help sort of sponsor our challenge, but certainly getting into those bike shops, you know, starting to develop those personal relationships with those managers and owners and getting them to promote it to their customers is a real key. Local advocacy groups, Omaha, that we have used to get the word out, but definitely schools, PTAs, scout groups, anybody that we can reach out to get the word out about bicycling in general, and then getting the word out about the challenge through them, sort of up the pipeline to parents, certainly helps. Social media has become a big component of our challenge. Somebody mentioned sort of the friendly competition, and that certainly plays a big part in what we do. You know, I think anymore it's growing to the point where we can almost assume that everybody is on social media. There for a while, you know, the first year we tried to have Facebook a part of our communication strategy. We got a little pushback because not everybody was on Facebook, or they couldn't get on from their work site or whatever, but gradually it's really growing, and that's nothing new to anyone, I'm sure, that's listening tonight. So using social media any way you can to really highlight those success stories, highlight when you hit a milestone in your mileage goals or your number of trips goals, you know, telling those stories of those, and we get them every year, I'm sure, as everybody else on the panel has, of the guy that, you know, heard from his doctor that he needed to lose some weight, he needed to get some exercise, and he pulled that bike down out of the garage, dusted off the cobwebs, and tried riding it to work, and by the end of the summer he had lost X number of pounds, and his doctor was happy, and his blood pressure was down. All those great things, any success story that you have that way, push that out, because that really gets people's attention, and it makes the rider feel really proud, and in most cases they're really excited to share their story. And as somebody mentioned, I think it was Rob at the beginning, if Rob can do it, I can do it. That's really a big motivator for a lot of people. Earned media is a really important part of what we do. We're fortunate that at Live Well Omaha we have a communications team that meets weekly to talk about, you know, what stories are out there, what stories can we push to the media, and we'll be using them significantly this year to try to get our story out. As somebody mentioned, the rising gas prices definitely play in our favor. That's a very media-friendly story we have found. You know, what are average Omahans doing to save money when gas is going up? Well, there you go. Get on a bike and you're on the 10 o'clock news. So really cultivate those relationships with reporters. Find the reporters at your newspaper or your local TV stations that are also cyclists. Find your health and fitness reporter. There's usually somebody in the media that rides a bike, and if you can get them, start cultivating that relationship, it'll go a long way. And then there's just the word of mouth. We like to say that our cyclists are sort of our rolling advocates, and they can take our message about alternative transportation and cycling, the joys of cycling, they can take it over the cubicle wall next to them where we can't get in necessarily. So we just encourage people to really get out there and talk to their friends about it, encourage their friends and family and coworkers to join the fun. It's kind of the who knew factor. I mean, last year we had a team sign up that's from the State of Nebraska Immigration Agency or something, and they have 5 people out of their 14 person staff that rides to work. And I mean, we had absolutely no idea. So, you know, these little word of mouth contacts, you never know where it's going to take you. And I have to say, a shameless plug, don't be afraid to stalk people in a good way. I have been known to, you know, stop a guy on a bike at a red light or in the grocery store parking lot and say, hey, do you ride often? And do you know about this challenge? And, you know, if you ride all the time, you should sign up and log your miles with us. So, you know, in an appropriate law-abiding way, stalking might not always be so bad. Our team captains for our challenge have been very important to us. You know, we are up to, I think, 1,300 riders by the end of last season, and trying to communicate with everyone on that list gets to be a bit cumbersome. So we really count on those team captains to push out the information for us. We communicate with them and then have them push the information out to their teammates. We have team captain information meetings every spring. Ours will be coming up here in April, where we get everybody together, get some coffee and some bagels and donuts, and just kind of talk about how to get signed up and how to recruit people and motivate your team, and you know, what to expect from us in terms of communication throughout the summer, and encourage them to celebrate, you know, and to let us know when those fun celebrations are happening. If we can get out there and get a photo or post something online about it, it's always super fun. This is my favorite photo of all time, and I will tell you why. I use this in every presentation I give about biking to work. And it's, who can do this? Because a lot of people say, there's no way I could ride to work. There's no way I could do it. What makes you think that I could do it? And in this picture that was taken at our mayor's ride a couple of years ago, it was just a random photo that was sent to us. There on our beautiful riverfront on the Missouri River. My 3 favorite characters are in this photo. On the left over here, we have Spandex Guy. And Spandex Guy, you know, he's got all the gear, he's got the cool bike, he's got the, you know, the bags attached on the back, he's got the cool helmet. This guy rides every day no matter what. He rides all weekend long. He watches the tour on Versus. You know, he is going to be out there riding no matter what we do. So, you know, it's great to have him on board, and more power to him, and we're happy to have him on board. This guy in the middle is Mr. Michael Alley. He's a great guy here in Omaha. He's an architect. He was actually a speaker at the National Bike Summit last year, if any of you were there, from the Omaha delegation. He rides this super cool Dutch bike. He rides to work in his suit and tie and vest, looking snappy every single day. This is exactly how he looks every day on his bike. And again, he is making a fashion statement. He's making, he would say, you know, a personal statement, and we're going to get him riding no matter what as well. So we'll take him if he brings us some good attention and good communications opportunities. We're glad to have him on board too. But over here on the right is really the guy that we're going after, and I call this guy Cotton Gym Shorts Guy. Cotton Gym Shorts Guy doesn't have the gear. This bike is probably an old Huffy that he pulled out of his garage full of cobwebs. He's you know, probably talking on the phone to his buddy saying, I don't know why I'm here, why did I agree to do this? But if you can get Cotton Gym Shorts Guy to give it a try, that is the key to the whole deal. If we can get him to try it once, get out and ride with him, help him find a route, help him find a buddy that lives close to him that can ride with him. Go with him to the bike shop to get him what he needs. Whatever it is, find Cotton Gym Shorts Guy and get him going on your team, and he will end up being your biggest advocate. The people around him will be really curious about what's going on. They'll start seeing changes in him or her, and you know, good things come out of that. So let's hear it for Cotton Gym Shorts Guy and see how many more of him and her we can get out there this summer. So as I mentioned, we are going to be jumping on board the National Bike Challenge this year. This is going to be our new and improved logo, and it'll be a little bit of a change for us in terms of the way we do business, the way we set our challenge up. But all in all, the pros and the cons after we wait it out, change is going to be a little hard for some folks, but the challenge is going to be great, and having those prizes and the ability to compare Omaha across the country with other businesses and universities and individuals, and it's really going to take our challenge to the next level that we're really excited about. And then very briefly, Bike Month, we have always used the Commuter Challenge as sort of the kickoff to Bike Month, and this year will be no different. We just try to collect all the information that we can about everything that's going on in Omaha regarding bikes. We talk to all the bike shops and have them send us any bike ride they're doing, any clinic, any event that they have going on. We collect all of that. We're going to be promoting National Bike to School Day this year, which is new. The folks that do International Walk to School Day for Safe Routes to School are starting a Bike to School Day. We'll definitely be pushing that out. Our Mayor's Ride, where we get the Mayor of Omaha and the Mayor of Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is just across the river, get them together, and the Mayor of Bellevue, which is a suburb, who she is a fantastic triathlete in and of herself, get them together to celebrate biking, do a proclamation, hip hip hooray, and then we take off in 3 different directions and ride our mayors to work and celebrate that way. This year we're going to push to try to get a city council resolution for Bike to Work Day. This was done recently in our fair city for Ride the Bus to Work Day, and it was very successful, where each council person took the bus in for the city council meeting, and it really got a lot of media attention and a lot of positive feedback. So we're going to try that this year with bikes instead of buses and see how far we get. And then a new addition to our Bike to Work Month calendar this year is a bicycle fashion show that we're really looking forward to, asking all of the bike shops around to provide a cool commuter bike and maybe some cool commuting gear that's very non-Lycra friendly, if you will, and getting some quote-unquote celebrity models to model these for us, doing a little happy hour event with it. It's really going to be a fun time, so we're looking forward to that. School bike rodeos, anything that says the word bike on it, we'll take it and put it on the calendar. And if I can maybe get this up here. No, bear with me. Bear with me. There we go. I wanted to show you, this is our calendar from last year that we put together with everything going on bike-related in Omaha. On the few days where there was nothing going on, I think we just put like if you can see here on the 20th, just a little message, share the road, you know, put a little tidbit of info in there if there's nothing going on that particular day. And we distributed these out to all the bike shops, the libraries, community centers, coffee shops, wherever we could hang these up. We put these up. So that'll be something that our super intern will be pulling together for us again this year, and try to get the word out that way. So that's the conclusion of my slideshow, and I'm happy to take any questions or see if anybody needs anything else from the Omaha side.
4 awesome presenters and presentations there. Thank you, everyone. I love this question here, and I think to a large degree we've answered this. I hope to a large degree we've answered this, but I want to get additional thoughts on the question if you have them. And the question goes like this, right? It's great strategic thinking here. Our League of American Bicyclists bicycle-friendly community, a small city, is drifting from its commitment to bicycling. Any tips on what can be done during Bike Month to re-engage city governments that have stepped away from the bike-friendly mission? Julie, do you want to start and just highlight your few things to answer that question? Anything you have on top of what you presented already, or that you would highlight?
I would say definitely engaging your city officials is huge. You know, one thing that I always have to remember is that any time the phone rings at our city engineer, city traffic engineer, city council person's office, usually it's a negative thing on the other line. And we really have to remember that they really do, you know, endure a lot of negative reaction to anything and everything, including anything bike-related. So I think the number one thing you can do is number one, make sure you stay engaged with them. Make sure that you say thank you to them. Make sure that your advocates and your cyclists speak up in the positive times and say thank you to their city council person who voted for that bike lane or voted for that funding, or thank you to that traffic engineer who maybe stepped out of their comfort zone to put in a certain piece of bike infrastructure. And then certainly using the media and using that data that you collect to show that people really are out there, that the naysayers really are in the minority, and people really are getting out there and enjoying it and benefiting from the work that they do.
Stephanie? Are you there, Stephanie? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I am. So all of the above, definitely. I think, giving lots of opportunities for positive interactions and, positive cover. Oftentimes when cities don't stick to their commitment, it's because putting a plan and a set of ideals in place is one thing, but actually putting infrastructure on the ground is another thing. So this is your opportunity to give your elected leaders and your agency leaders, some positive, positive press, positive cover, but also, reaching out and using this contact to build your kind of advocacy base. So when push comes to shove, you have a lot of support for projects. We do a lot of turnout when it comes to public meetings and petitions to get something built when we're facing a challenge for a piece of infrastructure. So and we draw for that constituency base. A big part of that is our commuters. So I would say that those are two things that come to mind.
Hey, Scott, can I add to that? This is Amanda.
Absolutely. I was about to call on you. So yes, absolutely.
Excellent. So I absolutely agree with everything that's been said, and I want to just also say that Stephanie's suggestion of getting those constituents involved. I mean, our experience in Madison is that, the city alders, the city, they listen to the local constituents. And so I do think Bike to Work Week or Bike Month is a great opportunity to not have necessarily the advocacy groups touting constantly why it's so important that people are biking, but let the bicyclists speak for themselves and make sure that they're heard. And so we have two opportunities to kind of connect our local bicyclists with their representatives. One is we have a Ride to Work with the Mayor Day, where we meet near the mayor's house and we make sure that we have at least 30 people show up for that ride. And then we all ride in together, and of course we invite the media and anybody we can get out there to cover it. And then we end at one of our commuter stations. And that's been an important connection with the mayor, and we also invite the city council members to get them out on that ride as well. And because the mayor's going, the city council people show up, and it's just a really important opportunity to connect our city leaders with our local bike advocates, their constituents. Another thing that we're doing this year is we're turning we have an end of the week party. We call it the Final Fiesta. That we've had at a community park every year, and it's been a great event. We usually get about 100 people to show up, and it's free pizza and beer and just a fun way to say thanks for biking to work. And what we're doing this year is we're taking that party to the next level, and we're having a block party in front of our office where we shut down a part of the street. And we are making that more of a demonstration this year. Because it's actually during city budget time while the mayor is considering his city budget. We want to get as many people as possible, to be honest, whether they bike to work or not. If they love biking, get to this event. We're trying to get 300 people to show up at that event. We're going to invite the mayor, our city council people, our county executive, and just show them, look how many people care about bicycling in Madison. It's important. So I think providing those opportunities during Bike to Work Week is a good option.
Awesome.
Can I throw in one more concrete example of something we're doing in Seattle?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, I think this would be scalable to smaller clubs too. In addition to kind of our mayor's ride and things like that, we're actually partially because of the update of the Seattle Bike Master Plan, we're going to be leading several study rides around town. So we'll be riding different pieces of the city and inviting elected officials, especially those who live in that area, and inviting the city planners and traffic engineers along on those rides to help create a positive dialogue, and really working very hard on our end to make sure that it's a positive experience for everyone, a positive and constructive dialogue about what's there, and what do we want to see there. And so that's one of the elements that we're adding to our Bike Month programming this year, to engage individuals, to engage the agencies, and to engage our elected officials. Those have been very, very popular. We get about 40 people out to these study rides these days.
That is great.
It's almost too many to be productive. We have to break them into smaller groups.
Well, I'm already thinking about what topic I can put on for another webinar and have this panel back, because this has been a great night of information. We're running just over time, so I do want to bring things to a close. For people that want to stick around, we can try to cover a couple of more technical questions that came in about the National Bike Challenge before we hang up, if Rob is still awake there. One thing I do want to ask, Julie, if you could send me your slides, and I want your Stephanie to offer them to people on the League's Club Leadership Training page. But if you could also, if you don't mind sharing those spreadsheets, because someone was asking you about the calculations on calories and CO2 and dollars saved. So if you are in a position to share that as a resource that other clubs and advocacy organizations could use, I would love to have that. I will, just before I officially close things, point out that we have on the League homepage, there is a link to the Bike Month page. It will be there all month and all next month, and we will add resources here. We'll add flyers to promote the challenge. We will add resources to help support national advocacy, and as we have resources, also local advocacy. We'll put a link to the recording of this and the presentations as well. I want to thank Rob Guskey, the Bike Ambassador from Kimberly-Clark Corporation, Amanda White, Associate Director of the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin, Julie Harris, Project Manager, and as I understand it, Bicycle Goddess from Activate Omaha. Not that I would deny anyone here that title if they wanted it. Stephanie Franz, Manager of Commute Programs from Cascade Bicycle Club. Tremendous, tremendous presentations. Thank you. I'm excited about Bike Month, more so than I've ever been after hearing all this, and I can only assume everyone listening is as well. Thank you so, so much.